Hey friends, it's Julia Suter from the SMB Level Workshop. We are going to be playing Expert again today in BrandonSMB and Friends Super Monkey Ball Deluxe port to the GameCube. I would like to give a shout out to LM280, who I have failed to credit as one of the developers of this mod in my previous videos, and I would like to apologize for that. The other participants include people like Twix Ninja, BombSquad, NGUU 2055 or 2005. I'm not sure which it is. I think I'm missing someone else, but my apologies for that. Anyways, we're going to be playing Expert. We have a ton of lives now, so I'm pretty confident I can get to Master Extra this time, and we're also going to be using warps. So these two things should help a whole lot. But yeah, so if you want to see, as usual, if you want to see all the stages in Expert, then go back to the previous video, because it's got them all, but except for Master Extra, because we didn't actually get all the way through. So this will be, so the previous video is like Expert 1 through Master 20. This is Expert 1 through Master Extra 10, but using warps. Yeah. So, for example, we're going to be skipping Expert 3 and 4, Overturn and Excursion, by using this warp, which is something that I'm pretty skilled at by this point due to all my Expert runs in Super Monkey Ball 1. We're just going to be moving on to Dodecagon, a stage that in no way resembles a Dodecagon. If anybody has any idea why this stage is called Dodecagon, please let me know on the server, because I'd legitimately be very curious to hear your thoughts on the subject. Never understood what this stage's name was about. Here's Exam C. One of the hardest levels in the game, maybe, more or less. I kind of have it down by now, but for new players, this is kind of the one to be worried about. So, yeah, but hopefully I won't die on the corner movement section. I think there might be, small physics differences in, the Super Monkey Ball 2 engine relative to SMB 1. That make the corner movement section, which of course you don't actually do corner movement during typically, but just bounce over instead. But it does seem like one is intended to do corner movement there. But I find that harder in Deluxe than I do in SMB1, where I kind of have that section completely down and I haven't died on it in a long time. But it's possible that it's just my imagination, my nerves getting the best of me, etc. Here's Skeleton. A spooky and scary stage. Sorry for the dead memes, everybody. But it is the skeleton of Slopes, I believe, is what the name references. Here is Tracks, a stage that I do not like very much. We'll be taking this path because I'm feeling adventurous. And it's generally a little bit faster because it's shorter, but also a little bit narrower, but only a little bit. And you get some bananas this way. So, you get your monkey some food, and it's good. It's generally considered a positive thing to give monkey food. Yep, that's right. It's Tracks, everybody. By far the most exciting and riveting stage in the game. Next up is Downhill Hard. Harder than the original Downhill, but, nothing too bad. Yeah, it's a fun one, basically. Here's bonus Bumpy, a bumpy bonus, where you can get all the bananas easily because it gives you a 60-second time limit. I think it's the only Expert bonus stage from Super Monkey Ball 1 that does so, including the ones that return from previous difficulties, because bonus Basic in Beginner in Super Monkey Ball 1 has a 60-second time limit, and in Deluxe it also has a 60-second time limit since it's only found in beginner. But in Advanced and Expert, when bonus basic returns in Super Monkey Ball 1, it only has 30 seconds. So just a fun fact for those of you watching. I know you all enjoy my quality content, or at least I hope so. I also hope you don't think I self-promote too much, because I am being satirical. I hope that is understood. Anyways, here's Wormhole, a stage that introduces wormholes. If you get in the wormhole at the right angle, at least in Super Monkey Ball 2 in challenge mode, you can get this banana bunch like going through the wormhole. But I missed a banana bunch. Well, whatever. I think I still have no deaths, which I'm actually really happy about. Yeah, but it's really hard to get that banana bunch. I think it requires a certain amount of speed and maybe a specific entrance angle to the wormhole. I'm not sure on the details, but it's pretty tough is the point. It's a tough thing to do. Here's Free Fall, a stage with another warp that we're going to be taking. It's good to take warps on stages, I think. So we'll be doing so as much as we can. We're going to be going on to here. It is actually possible to go straight from the starting bridge straight into the goal, or just straight onto this platform, but I chose not to do so for reasons that are not really reasons. I just kind of didn't think to do that. Sorry, folks. Here is Mad Shuffle, a stage that's pretty hard to do without the play switch pressed, so we're going to be pressing the play switch. Because I don't want to lose lives on Mad Shuffle. Thankfully, it's got some banana bunches, which will snag one of many stages in Super Monkey Ball 2 to have those banana bunches behind the goal. It's a fun thing, I think. Here's Jump Machine, a stage with a couple of warps. We're going to go for the red one. If I don't get it after just one or two tries, we'll just go for the green. The warps on this one are not particularly important or anything. The next two stages are pretty easy. This one's basically just for a bit of a time save, but thankfully we did get it first try. It's pretty hard as there's no solid platform or like stationary platform under that goal. You have to get straight in there without being bounced. So here's Toggle, a stage that requires some speed and precision, or you can do it the slow way. I've never done it the slow way before, but it is possible. It's pretty tough to get that banana bunch. It's balancing right on the edge of the platform, but we'll get it anyways. Here's Combination, a stage that has a combination of factors that makes it somewhat challenging. It can be difficult to figure out the timing, but thankfully if you press the play switch and go straight back in the wormhole, it lines up at this right moment, and you can just drop onto this platform, wait for it to rise again, take a little bit of ride as this spins around, and then it delivers the goal right to you. It's just a fun little trick. Try it yourself. Here's Bonus Hunting, the one stage that had its timing changed back to SMB1 in this mod, thanks to the efforts of the Deluxe porters, because the stage is pretty much non-functional in Deluxe, because the bananas are too fast to get any of them, because they leave before the stage even starts. And that's a mess. It's a real mess. And I would just like to shout out the developers for fixing it. It is a really good change, I think. Here's Gears. Stage with Gears. I feel that there's not that much to say about this one. Its name is fairly self-explanatory, I feel. You can either go with the gears and get a little bit of a time save, or you can go against the gears and get some bananas. So I like to get the first couple of bananas and then start going with the gears. in order to speed things up a bit. Here's Destruction, a stage where you can pretty much skip everything by bouncing from the starting platform, but it's a bit tough and I don't know the timing well, and I do know how to get the bananas, so that's what I do. You have to make a bit of a jump here that can be fairly difficult, but you know, if you time it right, it's nothing too difficult. Here's Invasion, a stage with lots of bumpers and not very much space. The stage feels very claustrophobic because there's very little room to stand without being like 2 feet away from a bumper. And that was my first death, I think. I'm actually really happy that I hadn't died up to that point. I feel like that's a pretty quality performance on my part. But we'll try to keep the death count to a minimum going forward. Still have 89 lives, more than I started with, so that's good. Here's Diving, a stage that you can just hold up on in Deluxe. So it's pretty much free. Those bananas are pretty tough to get. You have to go past the goal for them, and I do not like to get those bananas, and it also is it's a waste of time. It's just ultimately a waste of time. And that stage has different bumper models from every other underwater stage for some reason. I have no idea why that is. That was Floor Slant, a stage that's ultimately pretty simple. Here's Tram, a stage with bumpers that like to do their own thing. And they're bumpers with fast-paced lifestyles, let's say. It's not too hard to get past them, though. Here's Swing Bar Long, the long version of Swing Bar, that also tilts a hell of a lot more, making it fairly difficult. My girlfriend had a lot of trouble with this stage, which recalled my own experiences when I first played this stage as a child. I remember I would just always fall off when it slanted fully. But eventually I learned to, get into a rhythm that would allow the fast completion of the stage. I am going to go for the bananas on this one, as they're not too hard to get, if you ask me, and can even be gotten rather quickly, although of course it is much slower to get them. You can still get the time bonus if you do. Just gotta go up some steep slopes to finish the level. And next up is Twin Attacker, a stage that just doesn't feel the same without the sound effects, but of course there's not a lot that can be done about that, so it is fair enough. Here is Partition, a stage with a partition that separates the two halves of it from each other. We will be once again attempting to get all of the bananas, but will likely fail to do so, as it is a stage that has a very, kind of specific route you would need to take through it in order to get all the bananas. But yeah, you can still get some of them. You can still get a lot of them even, I would argue. I will make that argument and back it up with evidence, such as being able to get many of these bananas, perhaps a good 75% plus of them, as you can see here. Yeah, but this is about as close as I've ever gotten, because it is really rather difficult to get them all, although I'm sure it's possible. I believe Toothy, who's very good at... Oh, Toothy, of course! I remember, I missed him in the credits for this mod. I'm so sorry, Toothy. You're the one. Anyways, here's Punch Seesaws. That's a stage with a warp. I don't think this seesaw tilts anymore, but I could be mistaken. It certainly does in Toothy's port of it in his own mod. I'm not sure, though, but it's a pretty easy warp to do regardless. Here is Brandished, a stage that I once found kind of annoying and timing dependent, but ultimately it's very much eyeballable compared to something like Train Worm or Air Hockey, so I'm honestly a supporter. Here's Tears. Someone once told me that tears don't exist, but then I showed them this stage and they were forced to admit that perhaps they do. That's my second death this run, but we are going to keep attempting the warp because it's a fun warp, I guess. This is basically just Tracks 2.0 with some slants and wider paths, but overall I'd say harder than Tracks because of the slant, but it's also shorter. I don't know. It's like an alternate version of Tracks. I don't know if it's easy to say the one's harder than the other. Here is Narrow Peaks, a stage with some seriously narrow peaks. We'll be going for the harder side this time. If I die on it, I'll just go for the other one. But after playing Master 3, I am fairly confident in my skills on this, although that is one thin wire. Nope, but it is very much doable. So that's how you beat narrow peaks. You just gotta learn the V's. You gotta learn your V movement. It's a letter in the alphabet, and it's also that shape. I know the game does call it a narrow peak, however. I would normally take the warp on Detour in order to skip Switch Inferno, because Switch Inferno just sucks. But I'm not actually that confident in my skills on this warp, and furthermore, I was reminded by, once again, Toothy, who I will give an endless number of shout-outs to for being an overall great guy, that you can just go in the goal in the deluxe version of the stage. You don't actually have to press any switches. It's most likely a porting mistake by the original deluxe developers, but we can use it to our advantage, and I don't think anybody's really complaining about Switch Inferno being made an easier stage. I don't know a single person who'd say, wow, that was a bad thing to change. I think most people would in fact say, hey, that's a great idea. Anyways, this is Spiral Bridge, stage with a spiral bridge that you have to get off of. The getting off is probably the hardest part of this stage, but it's still very much doable. In which case you can move on to Pachinko, a stage which you can maybe get all the bananas on. I don't know. There's been discussion on this in the server recently, which I think I also mentioned last video, with, quality enough bumper movement and, task level gameplay. It does seem like it would be likely possible, because overall, I mean, all these bananas are individually gettable, and you have a pretty long time to get them. So, yeah. It's not like something with, and they don't despawn or anything. It's not like something like Fighters or Earthquake, but sometimes you die on Pachinko, and it's okay because you don't actually die. You just move on to Sega Logo in that case, which is a pretty hard stage, but one that is alleviated in its difficulty if you know the strategy. It's all about the strategy, folks. You just gotta know the strategy on how to beat the levels in this game in order to beat them. And then you can do it. But it does require technical skill as well. Let's not underestimate how much technical skill is, in practice. Practice, of course, is the, way to gain technical skill in Monkey Ball. So yeah, you need those things in order to succeed at this video game. Here's Wind, or Wind, whichever you prefer, although I do suspect the intent to be wind, considering that this path winds. I think that is generally the mainstream interpretation of this level's name. Yeah, it's very hard to get a time bonus on this one without some ridiculous IL strats. I have not done it myself because it does truly require some extreme nonsense, which I respect immensely, but it's not really doable in a run, and you would need to just grind it like crazy. Now I had to grind the warp on Checkers a lot in order to get that consistent, like the pink warp. But compared to this, that's just easy money. I'm just not good enough at video games to get a time bonus on Wind, y'all. Now after Wind, you got Windy Slide, a slide that is windy, as opposed to an entire stage, although this is still an entire stage, so ignore anything I said. In my last couple of runs this stage, I ended up getting stuck in the last half pipe, which is not something I normally do. So there you get to see me at my full windy slide potential. Hopefully you appreciate it. Like, comment, and subscribe. So this is Fall Down. It's a stage where you just have to fall down. There's not much more to it than that. Here's Twin Cross, a stage where there are two paths that involve cross formations and corner movement. Corner movement, corner movement, corner movement. This one and Checker are the ones that need corner movement for. Yep, and it can be pretty tough at times. This is one of the harder stages in SMB1 Expert, if you ask me. And one of the few ones that I would consider really hard that doesn't rely on like narrow paths or wires, as many like to call them, for their difficulty, which is kind of cool. I don't have a problem with wires personally. I think they're all right, but I understand the people who do not like them. Here's Spiral Hard, a stage that is of course easy to skip, and I did it too early, which is not something I normally do. I really do have to skip for this stage down normally. So I should really just keep a cool head and not die. Like that. Here's Conveyor Parts, a stage much like Conveyor, but they're parts, as in they split apart. In that way, parts are things that can be split apart, I would argue, as a decent definition for the word part, which is demonstrated by this stage. So, yeah. Although I guess parts don't necessarily need to be splittable apart. For example, body parts are not generally suggested to be removed for most people's, preferences. Here's gaps. Stage with gaps that you have to get over by jumping. Just a fun stage that's about jumping. You just gotta jump. Here's Earthquake, a bad bonus stage. This one's just not good. I don't have much more to say about it than that. It's just not good. It's just not a good bonus. Toothy suspects that you can get all the bananas on this one, but I have my doubts on that, because the bananas do fall off the edge at certain points. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And I doubt that you can get to like all the way to the end and back to get those ones that do fall off consistently. Yeah, we're not going to be falling off, but we are just going to be heading for the goal, because I'm tired of this nonsense, personally. I would like to continue the run. Here's wavy options, or wavy options. Sometimes it's options, sometimes it's options. It depends on the stage that we are talking about, but in this case, it is only one option. I'm not really sure what that's about, but for curvy options, it is certainly referring to multiple options, so, Yeah, it's pretty tough to get the first cycle on this one, but I apparently now have the skills to do so. So I'm happy about that. I'm actually really happy about that. But the animations of this one will never be as cool as Toothy's. Shout out to Toothy's animations for Obstacle. They're great. Go play SMB2 and SMB1 if you haven't already. I did not press the switch. And that's a problem. That is a real problem that society is facing. Thankfully, we can just go back and press it, but that makes my run of the stage very lame. Or I can just die. That's even lamer. Now, for all I say in these videos, I don't actually care about being lame or not as much as I might come off as, as much as I might come off. I'm mostly speaking in a manner that I hope is not too pretentious sounding, because I just play the game the way I do. I know I'm not great at it, and I know that there are people who are a lot better at it than I am, and also people who, I have some experience. Like, I'm not going to pretend I don't, but I don't want to come off as like elitist or something like that. I strive to not be. So if you feel that I am, please let me know, because I'm just doing my best to produce some videos. Here's Flock, a terrible stage that nobody likes. Maybe somebody likes it out there. Whenever I say nobody likes it, I always kind of, I have my worries that maybe, the one Flock fan on the server will come after me with torches and pitchforks and say, well, Julia, you're talking shit about my stage, my favorite stage. So, I just do want to give shout outs to any Flock fans after there, because you do have my respect and condolences. But I think this stage is absolutely terrible. So, yeah, that's just the truth of the matter, I'm afraid to say. And we're still at a net even with the number of lives I have, which is really great and makes me confident that I'll get to Master Extra, even with the very hard stages that appear later on in this run, such as those in Master in particular. Those are the ones that I'm worried about, particularly stages like Stamina Master and Bridge Master, although I do have somewhat consistent skips for those stages, thankfully. I'm not going to be playing them normally, of course. I might produce videos in which I do them normally, but those are very difficult to produce because they're hard stages. So we'll see about that, but I may put them in my Warp compilation, which I always promise to do, but then don't do. But I'd like to say I'll do it this time. I really should finish my Monkeyed Ball 2, as well as my Toothy SMB2 and SMB1 videos, because they are both very good mods. But I have not done so yet, and after this, after I do Ultimate Mode, I am certainly going to be playing Jamie's new mod that is supposed to be very good, and from the screenshots I've seen, is rather amazing. So shout out to that mod, which I have not played yet, but will. Here is 8 bracelets. Count them. 8 whole bracelets. And also this stage also has a really cool animation made by Toothy7645, or maybe I got the numbers wrong, but you know, that guy. He made some really cool animations for this stage. We're not actually going to be going to the pink because that just skips a bonus stage, but I'll take that banana bunch. Thank you very much. And then I'll be taking the green warp to go on to stage 60, a bonus, in which I will collect bananas. Oh wait, I totally could have skipped this one. This stage is terrible. I should have just taken the bone. I should have just taken the warp. Ooh, okay. Yeah, this stage is really dumb, y'all. I guess I got some bananas, so it was worth it. But wow, nah, no shoutouts to that one. Here's Curvature, a stage that has a very good backing music track. Shout out to the Ice theme. And also shout out to the Monkey Mall theme. I never give any shout outs to that song, but it's just as good as this song, honestly. Highlights of the Super Monkey Ball 1 soundtrack, which I'm a huge fan of, personally. Yeah, it's a good soundtrack. And I like this stage personally. Some people have called this one of the worst ones in SMB1, but I'm a fan. I guess people don't like wires, but that's a valid take on their part. But I think they're alright personally. I miss the banana bunch, but considering how many lives I have, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Getting all the bananas isn't as important here as it is in SMB1, because you only have 3 lives in SMB1, whereas I have 80 here, which is just a big difference, ultimately. Over 80, 88. I still have 88, so that's great. Here's Twist and Spin, a stage which was made slightly easier, I think, by Deluxe, just because the twisty thing starts out in a more advantageous position for jumping. But it's not a huge difference overall. Here is Speedy Jam, a stage which I will try to get to the early cycle on multiple times and lose multiple lives doing so. I'm not going to waste lives on silly, ridiculous tricks any further, though, and I will just go for the goal, because that's generally preferable to dying. Fun fact, that's just a hot monkey ball tip from Julia Sudo. Anyways, sometimes you get hit by the bumper. This is a pretty tough stage. My girlfriend had a lot of trouble playing Middle Jam, which is understandable. It is a tough stage to wrap your head around first, but and then when she played Speedy Jam, she was just like, oh, fuck this bullshit, which is, you know, valid. Like, some of the upgraded stages in Super Monkey Ball 1 are a little bit dumb. Like, this is the exact same stage as Middle Jam, only twice as fast, so one wonders, like, what's the point in having both of them? The point, of course, is to make there be more stages in the game without actually having to make unique stages. That was a really dumb death. But, yeah, so, I mean, you know, it's understandable that there are a lot of similar stages in Super Monkey Ball 1. I understand that it was most likely a development constraint that is respectable. But I really need to stop dying on this stage, but yeah, ultimately, Middle Jam and Speedy Jam are basically the same stage, and that's all I really have to say. I don't really have anything substantive to say on the subject, but yeah, that's just my hot take. Here's Cassiopeia. a stage named after a constellation or a Greek mythology figure. I'm not sure which, honestly, and I'm not sure how this stage's name relates to either. I suspect it's the constellation, though, because I assume it resembles a constellation in some way, which I think is just like 3 stars. I don't know. I probably knew this when I was in like 4th grade, but that was that was a long time ago. Let me tell you. Here's full open. It's stage 69. Lol, 69, am I right? There are 420 stage slots available in Super Monkey Ball 2 at the moment. Lol, 69. That's all I have to say. Like, comment, and subscribe for more quality content from Julia Pseudo channel. Here's Soft Cream. A stage with some soft cream. Most likely a reference to soft serve ice cream. But I like this one, you know, it's good. And I like soft serve ice cream too. It's basically just twist and spin, except you have to actually do it the way the game wants you to, more or less. I guess it is still technically possible to cheese, but much harder, much harder because of the slope. So you generally want to press that play switch. Here is Momentum. Getting to this stage is always a momentous occasion, if you know what I mean. Because it's very hard. I did get knocked off course there, but thankfully I managed to save myself anyways. Though it is hard, I have managed to get pretty good at it, so that's nice. Here's Entangled Path. A stage that kind of sucks. Toothy's version is much better, just involves a lot of waiting. Ultimately, though, this one's actually pretty cool. It has a cool animation and stuff. It's a cool concept, just maybe not the best executed. Also, the warp on this one is extraordinarily dumb. That's the one thing I can say with absolute confidence, is that the warp's really bad. Don't at me. Or do, you know, you're allowed to at me, I suppose. Although I'm not sure what you would want to at me about. But, you know, if you want to at me to say something about my videos, I encourage you to, because I do look forward to y'all's feedback. If, you know, I don't know. I'm just making videos. There's not that much to say about my videos, I know. But, you know, if you have just anything to respond to my comments, I suppose that is always appreciated. Here is Totters, and I do appreciate those who do respond. It's really great of you. I really appreciate that you like my videos. It makes me really happy, genuinely. Here is Vortex, a stage which you don't actually need the switchboard for. I guess you can just press like rewind or whatever in order to get it to go a bit faster, or you can press fast forward in order to speed it up a bit for timing purposes, but ultimately the stage is extremely completable with just the default switch configuration, so there's not that much of a point to it overall. The stage does have a warp though, which is pretty easy to get if you know what you're doing. You know, you basically just have to kind of balance on the edge of the vortex, stay on it as long as possible, and when it passes by here, you just get on the warp platform and you got yourself a warp. I think it skips trampolines, which is a really easy stage in my opinion, but yeah, you know, warps are fun. I think this skips to the stage warp, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no. Oh, it's actually possible this skips warp, which is actually a really good skip because warp is a hard-ass stage. So it's a good warp to do. Yeah. This one's just basically Jumpy's 2.0, but a little bit harder because you gotta go backwards and stuff, I guess. Here's Swing Shaft. It's a stage with a swinging shaft. Yeah. You don't actually have to deal with the swing, though, if you get on the right moment and do it quickly. So it's overall pretty easy. Pretty simple stage. Here's Serial Jump, a stage which we will not be taking any warps on because I cannot get to that pink one reliably, and the green warp only skips a bonus. So we're just going to be taking the normal goal here. Yep, here's Shelter, a stage with a ton of bananas, just a whole lot of them. And we're going to be saving those regular bananas for last, because I don't want to forget to get any of the bunches. This is a concern of mine since I did forget to get a couple of the bunches last time, which ultimately meant that I could not complete the stage, and ultimately I just need to prioritize things differently. I have gotten a perfect on this one before, although it is difficult to do, but with proper execution, it is possible. Anything is possible with proper execution, which I have not been doing so far. Execution wise has not been proper in that way, so I'm guessing that I'm not going to get a perfect, but I will get a whole lot of bananas nonetheless. And basically here you can just kind of do this, you can do this, and I can at least get all the bunches, even if not a perfect. Yeah. So I got all those with those 4 bananas, and that's a whole lot of bananas, so I'm happy about that anyways. Anyways, we're going to be going for the pink warp here, but I don't have the timing down these days right now. I mean, it took me like probably 10 plus tries to get the quick strat on the stage when I was doing story mode, so I'm not confident enough to attempt the fast way right now. So we're just going to be going the back way on this one, which is still not too hard. Here's Mixer, the stage that is a lot easier in Deluxe for a couple of reasons, just because the timing cycles are a little bit more generous, and also because it's just much easier to stay in this thing. You don't fall out as easily just due to subtle physics changes. Overall making this an easy one. Here's Rings, a stage with a warp that I'd always do because it's an easy warp, if you ask me. Yep, just a pretty easy warp to do. Just like that. And then you can move on to stage 87 and skip. This one skips the tube one. I forget what that one's called. The one with the tube with the like green line on top of it. Yeah, but this one is Clover. Ridge, I think, is what it's called. Remembering back. I don't know all the Super Monkey Ball 1 stage names as well. Often forget what they are, having grown up on SMB 1. And played that a lot more than Deluxe. A whole lot more. Here's Coffee Cup. Stage that does not look like a coffee cup. I really don't know what the name of this one's about. I don't see any coffee cup here, ultimately. Here's Metamorphosis, a stage that is a metamorphosis. The cube metamorphosizes. It's good. Here's Mobius, a stage where you're on a Mobius strip. It's a really cool bonus stage with a really creative look to it. I know NGU ported this stage, so shout out to him for porting this one. Yeah, he's one of the reasons Deluxe is out here, even if he did only a couple stages, but he did good. He did some good stages, like this one. I'm not sure what else. Yeah, there are a couple of bananas on this one. You don't always get all the bananas on Mobius, but you can get some of them. Sometimes, if you don't go fast enough on Mobius, you fall. And that's the end of that bonus stage. It's pretty tough to do, honestly. Here's Cross Floors, stage with some crossed floors that are crossed in a crisscross fashion. Sometimes you can run out of speed on this stage, and that can be a real problem, but thankfully slopes aren't steep enough where you can't recover. So with some really tight execution, you can recover and make it to the end of the stage. I think that's the first way I ever beat it as a kid, because I wasn't very good at it back then. Here's Spinning Saw, a stage with a spinning saw. It looks like the chainsaws from Super Mario World. I believe they're called grinders. You know, they're fun. They are obstacles that appear in a lot of levels in that game, and they're in some later games too, such as Super Mario Galaxy 2. Yep. Here is Chip Pipes, a stage with a very easy warp to do. I believe it skips Guillotine if you do it properly. So we will be giving Guillotine the Guillotine and skipping it, if you know what I mean. You get some whole lot of bananas here for such an easy warp. This one has really never been a challenge to me. Gotta be honest. I've always found the warp almost as easy as the regular goal, maybe even easier. I died. Well, oh no, I guess it doesn't skip Guillotine. It skips the one before Guillotine. So we're giving another stage Guillotine, not Guillotine, though. So in this one you gotta go with some steep ramps and avoid getting your monkey's head chopped off. French Revolution style, if you know what I mean. Yep, because guillotines were used in the French Revolution. That's the historical reference I'm making there. Here's Corkscrew. A stage with a very large corkscrew that is paper thin. I died a ton on this one last time, like way more than I should have. I lost like 10 plus lives on it. So that's hopefully not going to be happening again. And it didn't. Beat it first try. That's amazing. I'm really happy. So we're going to be moving on to Orbiters. A stage with a couple orbiters that you can just kind of largely hold up from the start to get past. Stage that's a lot easier than it might be just because the cycles are very generous. Here's Twin Basin. A stage with 2 basins. Believe it or not, that's how many there are. There are 2 of them. As the name Twin Basin is believed to be a subtle nod to. Always found that stage pretty easy personally. Here's Air Hockey, a stage that is really not great. Because this one's really rote timing, and sometimes if you get it wrong you'll die. I got it first try last time, but I don't tend to get it first try because this one's really fucking stupid. Like really stupid. Like, how the hell are you supposed to catch... Oh, great. Okay, just like Train Worm last time, it just kind of came to me, and I didn't intend that. You gotta understand there was no intent there. Like, don't mistake that for intent on my part. Yeah, but there's Asterisk. It's really, really easy final stage. Really not a lot to say about it. It's an easy stage. You're supposed to go up the stairs, but you don't actually have to gain some speed. Because you drop down, you go up the ramp, but yeah, you can just do it from the ground level. Here's Charge. Unlike Beginner and Advanced Extra, the Super Monkey Ball 2 stages come first here, and I assume that's to keep like parity with level themes or whatever, because like it was already SMB 2 space levels in the end of Expert, so I assume they just wanted to keep that going or whatever. That's my guess. Here's Strata, a highly stratified level. I definitely did not know what the word strata meant when I played the stage as a child, so when I hear the word strata or stratified, almost always think of this level, just any time in life. Super Monkey Ball is a very influential game on me. I do like it. I do like it a lot. We would take the warp on this one, but it skips a really easy stage, square dance, and it's really hard, so we won't. Yeah. You can even get a couple bananas on this one. More like 10. Yeah. Here's Giant Swing, kind of an annoying level because it's got this huge, like, starting bridge you have to go past. I'm really not a fan of that, like how long it takes just to get to the actual level. Like, just have the player start here, like where I just was. Like, oh, and then you can get hit by the swing if you do it with the wrong timing, and sometimes that kills you. Thankfully, it didn't kill me there, but it can. It does sometimes even. Yeah, but you just wait until this moment, and then you get on the Giant Swing. You let it knock you into the air, and you land over here. That's how you beat Giant Swing. Here's 5 drums. It looks like soft cream at first, but then you realize it's a much different kind of experience. You gotta wait for these barrier things to come past. And you avoid getting hit off by them. And that's pretty much the stage. Here is Free Throw, a stage in which the warps are not very much harder than the normal goal. So we're going to be attempting the pink warp. Let's hope that we get it. It is a little bit harder, I'm finding. Yeah, hell yeah, though. I am a fan of this one. There's some banana bunches very high in the air there that are fun to get. This one makes you skip, that war makes you skip Conical Slider, which is a really, really cool level that I don't like to skip, like, in a vacuum, but ultimately we're using warps, and that's an easy warp, so I'm going to go for it, because I really do want to get to Master Extra. That's my current goal. Yeah, but for construction, you kind of just do this. This stage is kind of cool. I used to hate it, and it's kind of a maze, but it's a cool maze. There are not any other mazes in this game as cool as this one, I think, in Super Monkey Ball in general. That was a really bad death. Wow. I'm really sorry. Oh, whoops, press the fast forward. That's not something you want to do on this one. This is another stage where I kind of have to wonder why it has a switchboard at all, because it's really just not necessary for anything. Yeah, but Conical Slider is a favorite of mine. It's just cool wormhole shit. I'm always talking about that. It feels like I'm just using it as a buzzword almost or something, but gosh, cool wormhole shit is just my jam. I can't get enough of it. Oh, got a one up there. That's nice. From that banana bunch. Here's Train Worm. A terrible stage, just like air hockey. Very similar stage to air hockey, and in spirit, I guess. It's very much the same type of stage. Thankfully, you got it right at the start there, which means I don't have to wait around chasing the worm, hoping it'll catch me, which is something that happens if you don't get the first cycle a lot of the time. Here's Blur Bridge. Stage with a very blurry bridge. It's not so blurry after the arcade version, in which it was never actually called Blur Bridge, but that's what they decided to call it anyways. I wonder if the names come from like some kind of internal names, like the deluxe names, if they come from some kind of internal names that were used in like the arcade name, like in like the development of the arcade version or something. Because Blur Bridge in particular makes me think that, because it's a name that only really makes sense for the arcade version. That one's hard hitter. It can be hard, but not if you have some gamer strats, if you know what I'm saying. This is a stage that I don't really know the timing for on Deluxe, because normally you bounce down like 2 platforms on the left and then land on the goal, but for here, for this version, I don't think that's possible, so I'm just going to go for this instead, which is pretty easy. It's much slower than the strat I usually use for SMB1, unfortunately. Here's Factory, and regarding something that was discussed on the server a little while ago, I do think that this is an intended strategy. I can't remember who was talking about that, but I do think that the way I'm doing this here is an intended strategy. Otherwise, they wouldn't put this like little L-shaped part here. Sure, the dropping down and getting the banana bunch is also an intended strategy, but it seems to be more like something that you would just do for some extra bananas, as opposed to like, the main canonical way, I guess. That's my suspicion. Also, I find this to be like probably maybe it's like the hardest or second hardest expert extra stage. I always get stuck in the second curve. Like it's certainly possible to do so consistently, but I'm no good at it. Yeah. This is the first corkscrew. It's like the second corkscrew, but came first and involves a different set of skills, to be fair. But they're both corkscrews. And let's get magic hands fast. Ooh, yeah. Don't do that too often. Hell yeah, I'm proud of that. Here's AV logo. It's the logo of Amusement Vision, the now dissolved branch of Sega. Shout out to Amusement Vision. They made Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2. They're cool, I think. Yeah, we're going to do some gamer strats for Sanctuary. You can do that and get some extra speed. And then you can go straight into the goal, and you can just hit the top of the goal. Yeah. That's my gamer strat for Sanctuary. Like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, anyways, this is a pretty cool stage, actually. Like, I like this one a lot. It's fast and fun. Planets, though, I'm not a fan of Planets. Planets is just the shitty version of this stage. It's also like a ripoff and incredibly similar, but it just sucks in my opinion. It involves a different set of skills, to be fair, but it's so similar and like it's just gross. It's not fast at all. Not a fan. Bad luck, Sega. Bad luck. Here's Daluma, a stage that originally has sound effects but has them removed here. Again, just a hard-coded thing from SMB1, so hard to reproduce. And valid to not include. Got hit by the hammer at the end there, which is always fun. Gonna be moving on to Master now. Yes, Mimi wants me to challenge the Master level, so I will oblige. Here is Centrifugal. A stage which I always wanted to pronounce centrifugal as a child. Not knowing what it meant once again. But this is a centrifuge. So it makes sense to be called centrifugal, as it involves a heavy degree of centrifugal force. Here is Swing Bridges, a stage with a warp, which I will attempt. Because ultimately this warp is not really very much harder than the normal goal, because even though the swing bridges are incredibly fast, you don't actually have to, like... Oh. Well, okay. That might be a problem. Yeah, we're just going to do the normal goal, actually. But anyways, like, you can kind of just, like, hold up from the start here anyways. So it's not as hard to do the warp as you might think, because you can just bounce across it. You don't actually have to deal with the bridges swinging. You can kind of just ignore it. It is possible to do it slowly. At least the normal goal you can do slowly, certainly. But that's much harder for the normal goal. Or that's, yeah, and, I mean, practically impossible for the warp goal, I assume. I haven't done it for the warp goal, so I can tell you it's a lot harder. I have done the, like, fast strat for the warp goal, though. Alright. Here's Cylinders. Gonna have to buckle together and get this one done. I hate this stage. I'm not gonna lie. This is one of my least favorite stages in Super Monkey Ball 2. I'm not a fan of Cylinders, like, as a level structure. Yeah. And this one, I mean, as the level name implies, it's got a lot of them. It's got a lot of cylinders, and if you try doing this slowly, God, I only knew how to do it slowly as a kid. I didn't realize there was something you could cheese. So you can imagine that I did not have a good time doing that. Here's Passage, a stage with a warp that seems to be more hidden than anything else. As opposed to being difficult, it's just kind of hard to find out where it is. Or that it even has a warp at all, because you can't really see it on view stage unless you look really closely. Which I think is kind of cool. It's a different way of doing warps than is often done. But yeah, you basically just have to drop down here to get it. And it's a fun warp to take. It lets you skip Notch, the worst gamer man, one of the worst ones who exists. As I explained in my previous video and on the server after people responded to that, not knowing what was wrong with Notch, but basically he's a huge transphobe. So he's not the greatest. And he also believes in QAnon. But we're not going to get into that too much. But yeah, Notch sucks. That's all you need to know. And it's a stage that I don't dislike too badly, but, you know, I'll take all the skips I can get. That's Intermittent, not too hard a stage. I like that one a lot. It's fast and fun. Here's Long Taurus, just a really big donut that's more of a tuning fork type of shape, though not a fork, because it does loop back together at the end. More cylinder movement, though this one is easier than Cylinders, if you ask me, but still pretty difficult on the whole. You got to drop into the goal, generally speaking, unless you wait a while. So, yeah, that can be tough. It's like 58-50 or so you go on this one. Nah. Wait, oh, it's 59-50, I think, actually. Yeah, like this. Yeah, so you can use, like, timing strats here without actually even needing to pause because it's fairly generous. Shit. It's like 50, yeah, like that. I didn't hold straight up, so that might be a problem. Oh, there we go. That's good. Okay. Don't want to waste too much time on this stage. It's where I ran out of lives last time, so hoping that won't happen again. But thankfully it didn't even come close. So here's Double Twin, stage with two twins. And a pretty difficult stage overall, though not like the most difficult. There are much harder stages in Super Monkey Ball 2. And Deluxe as well. Considering that this is Deluxe. Yeah. Here's Clock Face, a stage that does look like a clock. Looks even more like a clock in Toothy's Port. Shout out to Toothy's Port of this stage. It's got numbers and shit. And it looks really cool overall, and it's used as like a sort of reference to Advanced Extra 5 from Super Monkey Ball 1, aka Polar Large. It's a cool stage. You just gotta wait for the blue platform, and then you can get up on here and go to the goal. Then you can move on to Wave Master. A stage that is very, very fun, in my opinion. But you gotta give it some time, or else you'll die. That's the one thing. That's the one caveat of Wave Master. You gotta give it some time in order to get across. And you gotta get the right pattern going. You gotta get a good rhythm. And then everything just lines up for you, it seems like. If you get going at the right speed. It's a really cool and satisfying stage, I think. One of my favorite stages in Super Monkey Ball 1, honestly. Here's Fan Master. I'm a fan of this level, I guess. I don't know. It's one of the easier master stages, but it's a cool aesthetic, so I'm not going to complain. Oop, did a little bit too fast there. Generally, you want to do it 2 at a time. Not 3 at a time, though. I think it is possible to do it 3 at a time. Yeah, we can do that. We can manage. We can manage. It's manageable. Ooh, okay, that's not what you want to see happen on Fan Master. The easiest master stage, well, the second easiest master stage after Roll Master. Or, yeah, is it Roll Master or Reg Master? I forget which is which. I think it's Roll Master. Anyways, hardly matters. That is Fan Master one way or another. This is Stamina Master, the hardest stage in the game if you do it normally, but we're not gonna. Yeah, you still got to do the V, of course, which is not the hardest part of the stage, thankfully. So you can just kind of do that. And yeah, you got to go a little bit less speed, bit less speed going to the goal. But this strat gives you a good entry angle, unlike dropping down from the L-shaped platform, which gives a much tougher entry angle. That makes this stage harder to complete, and completion is what we're after, believe it or not. Completion is the goal. Hell yeah, Stamina Master. Not too bad a stage once you know what you're doing. But you do need that skip. You absolutely do need it. Here's Spring Master. A stage with a springy carpet that you just gotta go fast on. Hell, whoa, just a couple of frames too late. Gosh. Not what you like to see. I hate to see it, in fact. A little bit wrong place to start out there. Okay, yeah, but this one's not so bad overall. There we go. Yeah, that's what we like to see on Spring Mat. Ooh, nope. Whoa. Oh, okay. That's a replay. That's a motherfucking replay. What the hell? That's fun. I'm a fan. Here's Dance Master. Not as bad as people claim. That's all I'll say. It's a weird stage to say the least. It's a fun one. I like how claustrophobic it feels. It's got a unique kind of difficulty compared to some of the other master stages. I just missed the goal by just a few inches there, which is also something you hate to see. Okay, we'll take it. Yeah, we'll take it. I'll take that. But yeah, it can be a hard one at times. It can be pretty hard. But yeah, there aren't a lot of other stages like it. That was wrong. That was bad. That is not what you like to see. You hate to see that too. Don't want to be hitting the goal on Roll Master, because this one should be pretty easy to do, rather. It is known for being the easiest master stage. And I would like for it to live up to that reputation for the moment. I could really use that right now. Of course, we can also just do it normally if we end up in this kind of situation. I will allow that. Because you can just follow the red line. Do the rolls as it rolls. Just roll with it, as they say. Yeah. You can go in there. Yep. It's still one of the easiest master stages, even without the skip. Now here's Edge Master, which is not one of the easiest master stages, certainly. Not one of the hardest either, but not one of the easiest. It's, it's in the middle of the difficulty for the master stages, I'd argue. Yeah, and then you can just kind of end up down here. Let the goal roll up to you. This stage seems to have served as an inspiration for Nintendo, or Destiny as it's known in Deluxe. Yeah, they seem very similar. Ooh! Okay. You hate to see it. This one's another one where I feel like I don't really have a handle on it at all. And it's kind of just, sometimes you'll get hit, and such is life, But it's also, like, not the hardest one, like, you'll eventually get it, even if you kind of just do random shit. Like, you'll most likely eventually get in the goal. Like that, It's like, it's not one you're going to die on, like, 100 times, or even, like, 20 times. It's one you'll eventually get, even with, if it's just by blind luck. Yeah. Now, how did I do this last time? Oh, yeah. Did this. Now, that was an appealing strategy that worked really well. So we're going to be trying to replicate it for today's playthrough. Though it is still fairly difficult to do, I will warn you. Yeah, we'll try doing it this way, like a good one time. Bridgemaster, this is the hardest stage in Super Monkey Ball 1. Like, with skips, this is the hardest stage in Super Monkey Ball 1. Stamina Master would be the hardest one, easily, if it didn't have the skip. But it does, so it isn't. Probably have already said this exact same thing before. That wouldn't surprise me, because it is something that I have a strong belief in. If you'll permit me saying. There we go, there we go, there we go. That is what I did last time, and that is the strategy which I will use for Bridgemaster from now on, because it does make the stage a hell of a lot easier. Though it is still one of the hardest stages. Just a very tough stage. This one's just hard to get onto, unfortunately. But thankfully we've got 50 lives still, even before Master Extra, so there are really no worries to be had now about making it to Master Extra. That much alone is basically assured. And that was just a bad performance. That was just a bad look on my part. Yeah, you hate to see it. You just hate to see it. You just do hate to see it. You do. One cannot resist hating to see this. There we go. That's the end of Master. On to Master Extra, the last 10 stages of the game, which are way too easy. For the most part, there are a couple of really hard ones. I won't deny it. We're going to be playing all 10 of them, because I haven't done this without warps yet, which I'm not looking forward to, because this is a lot easier with warps. Actually very frustrating. Okay, with variable width, I have no idea what's going on in this stage. Like, I actually do not understand the mechanics of it in the least. But it's not too hard, so I don't like to question it. Like, I do know how to beat it. I do. And it doesn't involve going off the edge, believe it or not. But I just don't really understand this stage. It's like I don't know what the variable width is. Like, what's happening to the platforms here? Like, yeah, I get that it's like a couple of raised things or something that, like, raise and lower. But, like, what is going on? You gotta kind of bounce on the edge there, get into the goal. It's like, I don't even know. I don't even know, y'all. Just a little bit too low. Yeah, it's the real problem with Master Extra, if you ask me, is that it all takes place in this fucking green location. I do not like Bad Boon Space. It sucks. Everything's green. Everything's, like, fucking monotone, and in color, and it's like it lacks any visual interestingness. Oh, and then you got Striker, which is like way too easy. Like, doesn't even belong in the realm of Master Extra. This could be like an advanced, and it wouldn't be out of place. Like, what is going on here? Here's Parts, a stage that I really like. This is the best Master Extra stage, probably. You kind of have to wait for a specific moment in the Parts movement. Yeah, like when this rolls around again, you can kind of just slip into it. Use it as a half pipe, end up here. And that's how you beat Parts. I do like it. It has some interesting elements. Here is Planets. A stage that is, as I mentioned earlier, it's a ripoff of Sanctuary. It even has this exact same fucking starting platform. Like, it's exactly the same, except there's a bigger vertical gap in between the planets, which means that you have to just do this stupid bouncing bullshit instead of it being any kind of interesting stage. Or, like, fast and fun, like Sanctuary. But, I mean, it's not the end of the world, I guess. Like, it's not that hard. The warp is really, really hard. But the warp's not that hard. And I just like, why? You know, like, Sanctuary's cool, but they just made it worse. And then Sliced Cheese is just a meme fest. It's just what I like to call a meme fest of a stage. 'Cause it's just kind of, like, this seems like something that would have been in an early community pack. And, like, you know, no offense to the early community packs. Actually, that was the first mod. The Community Pack 1.0 was the first mod I ever played of Super Monkey Ball, and I actually had a ton of fun with it. Like, it was great to see what the community come up with. But, you know, styles have clearly changed since then. And this is not the kind of content that is necessarily preferred these days. But it's in the official game, so I don't even know what I can tell you. And then here's 8 Seesaws, another stage that's way too easy for Master Extra. It's basically just 8 bracelets, it's like 8 bracelets X linear seesaws. It's like if those two stages had a baby, and it would be this. It would be exactly this, but both of those stages are like way earlier on in the difficulty progression. I mean, you know, 8 bracelets is still pretty, you know, it's an expert, to be fair, but it's like, what were they thinking? Oh, and then Synchronized is just another fucking train worm kind of stage where, like, you just have to, like, you know, just, you know, get it right away, or, like, pray to God that you'll just, like, eventually chase it down somehow through blind luck. And, like, oh, also the warp's easier to get by rushing it than the regular goal for some reason. Like, they decided to do it in that way. They decided to make it that kind of stage for some reason. And then, yeah, you see the goals just, like, rise up and down because it's fucking synchronized swimming. You know, you get it? It's synchronized swimming, like at the Olympics. Only it completely sucks. And I've never even watched synchronized swimming before, so, I mean, that might suck too, but I know this sucks, so that's all I can tell you. And then when the time limit gets really low, the goals just start running around like crazy. And that's, like, one of the more reliable times to get in. But, you know, it also just, at times it just doesn't work out. Yeah, if I miss it again, I'm honestly just going to kill myself, like, on purpose. Because, like, what? Do you think you're actually going to catch it? Has anybody ever caught the goal not in these first, like, 5 seconds? Has anybody ever done that except maybe, like, the last 10 seconds? Is it something that's been done by any extant human? Is there proof of it? Is there proof of doing this without timing strats? Or, like, it's not timing strats necessarily. Like, I'm not using any timing strats, but, like, what is going on here? Why did they make this stage? Also, shoutouts to Toothy's version. Toothy made a really... Toothy is such a legend that he managed to make this stage good. Believe it or not. He did it. And I did it too, but... like, whatever. Here's Helix. I hate this stage with a passion. This is one of my least favorite stages in the Monkey Ball games. Like, in the original 3, you know, 1, 2, Deluxe. This one is easily among my least favorite. I cannot stand this one. It's like Spiral, only the skip is insanely hard. It's so much worse. It's not fun like Conical Slider. It is just awful. It is just awful. It's tedious and slow and horrible, and it's just the worst. I can't stand playing this stage. I just want it to be over, and you actually have to do it kind of fast because it's really long. It's just oh god. Oh god. Who thought this one was a good idea? And it's got a warp too that's just like the same, and then you just fall off like right at the end, and it just makes me want to cry. The stage genuinely just makes me want to cry by playing it, and it's like you can skip it and synchronize with the warp. It's easier than the normal goal, except like you can't, cause it's the first playthrough, and you gotta play all the stages, and it's just like why? Like why Amusement Vision? Like, why would you do this? Why would you make a stage like this? Like, what were you thinking? Did you just want people to suffer? Did you just want people to hurt? Is that the kind of people you are at Amusement Vision? And I know you're not, because you made an amazing game, but it just makes me wonder. It just makes me worry. It makes me worry about the intentions of the developers, because when things like that can happen, when you don't even put the goal on the fucking helix, it's just like why would you do this? I just have to ask why. Like with other stages, like Switch Inferno, Banana Hunting, like these super dumb stages that are just terrible. Like at least you can kind of see what they were thinking. At least you can kind of see how they thought it would be interesting and fun, like kind of in some kind of twisted sense. But here, it's just like why would you do this? Like, why would you make a stage like this? Like what reason? What possible reason could you have to make such an abomination? To make such a horrible creation? To make something so horrible that you can just get to the end over and over and still fail, and still just endlessly fail, and it just feels like you've lost everything when you die on the stage. It just feels like it's over. It just feels like the run is over. And yet it's not, because there's still 3 stages left, and this is one of them, and you still have to do it. You still have to do it in order to provide quality content for your viewers, but you just have to wonder if it's all worth it. It just makes you question everything. It makes you question all your life decisions when you play Helix. It just makes you wonder. It just makes you wonder why. It just makes you wonder what kind of people would have had to develop this stage, like what they were thinking, what they were intending, like whether they wanted to make a fun game, or whether they just wanted people to just lose it, to just go ape shit. And then you got Dizzy System, which isn't so bad. It's like people don't like the stage, and they rightfully don't like the stage. Like, the stage is pretty fucking dumb, but like, it's no Helix. It's like Switch Inferno. Like I was saying, it's like you can at least see what they were thinking with this one. Yeah, I don't know. It's a fun mechanism, I guess. It's okay, I guess. I mean, you eventually get stuck in this kind of cycle, and you get really frustrated because you're almost at the end of the run once again, and yet it's like you still got this stupid bullshit to deal with, and you just get like 2 inches away from the goal. Don't get it. But like, it's a fun stage, I guess. It can be fun. It's got pause strats, certainly. I mean, there are definitely pause strats you can do. So yeah, if you do it like this, then it's rather easy. That's if you get it right away. Like any of these kinds of rote timing stages, like if you do it right away, yeah. Destiny, this was originally a GameCube, but since this was originally a PS2 and Xbox game, and the original Deluxe, it's just a dice now. The one problem I have with this stage is that you can't, like, if you're new to the stage, then you it's not really possible to tell how it moves, which is, not the greatest, if you ask me. but it's, you know, it's still an alright stage. This is a lot easier than the GameCube version because it doesn't have all the little contours of the GameCube. But, you know, it makes sense why they changed it. It wouldn't really work with the PS2 or Xbox model because the GameCube is much more of a cube. Anyways, that's it. I beat Expert. That's a full Expert run. You saw right there. My playing skills are amazing. Well, thank you, maybe. I mean, that's a really nice thing for you to say. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'll be bringing you all Ultimate next. I will be playing Ultimate, but doing a full run. Might be a little bit. I know it's been a little bit since I've uploaded a video already before this one, but in this case, I am, you know, Ultimate's even longer than this, so I will be using Warps, but it is still just really long, so might be a little bit, might be a week or so. I don't know. I'll figure out a time I can make that video, and I will bring you all it. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Have a great day.